Vivian with the song Kumu Nekao, a celebration of Fulani women. Hello, it's Saturday, May 26, 2012. You're watching SaharaTV, and it's time for AfriCurrent. This is the part of the show when we give you a snapshot of what's happening in Africa. Some of these stories you may have heard and some you haven't, because on AfriCurrent, we like to highlight stories that are not being told in Western mainstream media, and I have a lot of news to share with you today. First, in Mali, protesters bombarded the National Palace to attack the interim president. Then, Gambia's president has declared a war on the country's criminals. And finally, this Ivorian footballer is leaving one of Europe's most prestigious soccer clubs. Who is he? Wait and find out. I'm Chika Oduah. Stay tuned for this week's edition of AfriCurrent. We begin in Mali, where protesters invaded the National Palace and literally attacked interim president Diokonde Traoré. Traoré suffered several head injuries that happened on Tuesday, and the following day he flew to Paris, France for medical treatment. Coup leader Captain Amadou Sanogo condemned the violence, calling on the Malian people to contain themselves and respect all efforts taken towards an end of the crisis and a peaceful transition. The attack was sparked by anger over news that Traoré would keep his position as the interim president for a year. But Tuesday was supposed to be the deadline for elections to return the country back to civilian rule after the coup in March. Meanwhile, Sanogo's supporters are expecting him to become the new interim president. The case of the Nigerian former state governor James Ibori continues to make headlines. Ibori was sentenced to 13 years in prison last month after pleading guilty to money laundering. It all happened in a British courtroom. But this time, it's not just about Mr. Ibori. It's about one detective and 3 former police officers. They were all arrested this past week by the British Metropolitan Police. It's part of an ongoing investigation into allegations that the arrested persons accepted bribes. We'll keep you updated on this story. Last week on AfriCurrent, I mentioned that the United States Department of Justice is pushing to officially label Boko Haram as a foreign terrorist organization, but the Nigerian government is saying no. Nigerian government representatives say that they want to begin a dialogue with Boko Haram. I think the attempt to declare them an international terrorist organization will not be helpful. That's what Defense Minister Mr. Bello Mohammed had to say. He continued saying Boko Haram is not operating in America, and America is not operating in Nigeria. That's to say that Boko Haram is not targeting the United States, so maybe the United States does not need to see Boko Haram as an international threat. But it is certainly a domestic threat. Over the last 18 months, more than 700 people have died in Nigeria in Boko Haram attacks. The group is targeting churches, police stations, media outlets, schools, hotels, and telecommunication companies. For the Nigerian federal government, this is certainly a war on terror. Gambia's president has his own war to fight, and it's called Operation Bulldozer. It's an attempt to get rid of the country's criminals. Gambia's president Yahya Jammeh made a declaration on Tuesday that he plans to track down the criminals as soon as possible. But who are the criminals? According to President Jammeh, it's the murderers, the rapists, the homosexuals, the pedophiles, the internet con artists, drug dealers, and human traffickers that are destroying the country's destiny. Gambia is one of the poorest countries in Africa. President Jammeh has been credited for promoting private investment, boosting the agricultural sector, and initiating poverty alleviation strategies. Strategies are important for people like Didier Drogba. In fact, for him, it's all about strategy. The 34-year-old football striker is hailed as one of the best in the game. He scored the winner in the FA Cup final a few days ago. He is definitely a Chelsea legend. That's why it came as a surprise when Drogba announced that after 8 years with Chelsea, He's leaving the club. We made history together, but I think now is the best time to move on. And where is he off to next? Some say China, others say Spain, but it's clear he may not be settling down in his native Côte d'Ivoire anytime soon. But that doesn't stop his countrymen from making songs about him. It's time for the number of the day. Today's number is 94 million. It's a huge number, 94 million. Think 94 million US dollars. That's more than 59 million British pounds. That's more than 74 million euros. That's more than 786 South African rands. That's more than 565 Egyptian pounds. More than 14 billion Nigerian naira. Anyway, that's how much money the Chinese government is giving Kenya to fight terror. And it's a grant, not a loan. The Kenyan government is expected to use the 94 million US dollars to install security surveillance cameras that will help monitor the movements of the likes of the Somali-based terrorism group Al-Shabaab and the more familiar Al-Qaeda. So yes, the group is a real threat to Kenya. But the deeper question is, why is the Chinese government donating so much money to Kenya? It doesn't help to quench the idea that China is pushing a policy of neocolonialism in Africa. That's all I have for you today. If you want information on these stories and more, check out SaharaReporters.com. And be sure to check out our website, SaharaTVOnline.com. For the very latest updates, follow Sahara TV on Facebook and also follow us on Twitter. I'm Chika Oduah. Thank you for watching this week's edition of AfriCurrent. Click on Report Your Bribe and now the West African nation support of Occupy Nigeria. Government